Hey guys, this is Tiffany with the Nerdettes, and I'm back. I'm so excited, I can't even tell you. I've got my Demogorgon ready. This is my watching companion. Obviously, as you can see, I have 11 and the Demogorgon from Loot Crate over here because Stranger Things is back with Stranger Things 2, and I cannot be more excited. I've been waiting, I'm sure as most of you have, forever. The Demogorgon is very aggravated about this. So I am so excited that it's back. And I am definitely going to be reviewing it episode by episode. It starts off with, of course, Chapter 1, MADMAX. And it starts with these kids in masks running away from what looks like maybe a school or some sort of maybe a government building of some kind. And of course they're being chased by the police. Maybe they're running from a bank. They could have stolen some money, probably. So they're being chased by police, and it's an immediate car chase. And we are introduced to our very own, what's her name? Collie, that's right. And she is just so naturally calm about... What is wrong, buddy? She is just so naturally calm about things. Sorry, my dog's being weird. Anyway, she's just so calm, even in the midst of all this chaos. And as they're, running away from the police, she's just stoic and, nothing is wrong at all. And so they're running away from them, and she is directing them, almost like she knows where to go to avoid them. And so she has them go under this bridge, and she has it collapse or look like it collapses. Let me rephrase. After they go under it, so the policeman that's chasing right behind them slams on his brakes because, of course, he sees it, and it's it crumbles. So of course he's trying to avoid the rock fall or the debris. And all the police cars smash together, and it's a crash of 6 or maybe even 8 of them, and they all get out and they're yelling at him because they're like, why did you stop? And he's like, the bridge, and because he knows what he saw. But the rest of them are like, what are you talking about? Why are you letting them get away? Why did you stop? So he turns around, and the bridge is intact. Nothing has ever happened to it. So he's so confused. He clearly saw it. And it goes back to Collie, and sure enough, her nose has that little trail of blood just like Eleven's did. And on the inner side of her wrist, we see the number 8. So here we go, guys. The answer to our question that many, many fans, myself included, have been asking. If 11 is number 11, what happened to the other 10? Are there more even? And here we go. We just met number 8. Holy crap, y'all. So the opening is still the same. Still has that nostalgic Dungeons and Dragons font. Still the same, except now it has a 2. I'm waving around the Demogorgon, but it's okay. Anyway, so it opens up. It's obviously Halloween, and it opens with all of our guys that we've been missing. Mike and Dustin and Will, and they're basically all the gangs back together, and they're all looking for quarters, and they're doing a quarter haul, and basically communicating over their walkie-talkies. What's your haul? How many quarters did you find? And poor Dustin has 4, but they are able to kind of get some quarters together. Mike steals all of Nancy's from her piggy bank and just runs off with it. And they meet at the arcade, which of course is so wonderful. I really, really love arcades. We actually have one locally that I love. It's called Coin Op. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, they go to the arcade, and here again we have the one of the many, many things I loved about season 1 is the music. And here we go again. Wonderful music with Whip It right off the bat as they go to the arcade. And It's just like the trailer. It really is. If you saw the trailer, here it is. Like, pretty much right here, right as it opens, really quick. They're playing the Dragon's Lair game with trying to save Princess Daphne, and she's like, to slay the dragon, use the magic sword. Very, very just gotta love the animation. Gotta love that old school nostalgia. Love it so much. And basically Dustin loses, and he's like, that's okay, at least I have the highest score on Dig Dug, and he spoke too soon, because as one of their classmates tells them, no you don't, you've been surpassed. So they go over there, and sure enough, on Dig Dug, the highest score is the name of the episode, MADMAX, in all caps, and that is the highest scorer. So of course, they're all baffled, like, who is this person? Who has gotten this impossible score? This is, they don't see that it's even feasible to get that type of a score, but somehow this person has. So as they're looking at this, all of a sudden Will hears something, like a loud noise, and he turns and he sees debris, just like the trailer shows, like almost like raining through the doorway, and thunder and lightning rumbling. And so of course he walks out, and he sees this massive storm, like flashing what looks like almost like red and orange lightning, and like a puff of, or like a huge cloud of smoke. Very dramatic. And he's looking at it. It's obviously the Upside Down, very quickly, and he's staring at it just in frozen terror. And finally Mike comes up to him, and it's like, hey, and he turns around and turns back, and it's gone. So it's like poof, vanish. But yeah, so obviously he still has some sort of tether, as we guess, with like the slugs that we saw coming out of him at the end of the season 1. He still has some sort of tether to the Upside Down, and this just proves it. And then more good music. Just Another Day by Oingo Boingo is playing. So I definitely will be getting this soundtrack. I have a lot of these songs already, but just because I got the first soundtrack, I have to get the second one. But anyways, we've got Hopper. He's talking to basically a conspiracy theorist that has come to the police station, it seems like every day, or pretty much every day, talking about aliens, talking about weird conspiracy theories. And now he's talking about sightings of someone with some sort of psionic abilities. Hello, who else but 11? Just this ability to control with their mind. And he talks about the incident at the store where the doors were slammed shut and the glass shatters. And of course Hopper knows who he's talking about, because, of course he does. But he thinks that it's some sort of Russian spy. He has this crazy spy theory, But Hopper listens to him, and his secretary calls him about some sort of an incident with this pumpkin patch. So of course he uses that as an excuse to leave and get out. So basically it goes back to Steve and Nancy. Here we go. They're back, and Steve's written a paper, and it's apparently he's got some analogy of how basketball is like war, and that his grandfather fought, and in the end they both won. And of course Nancy, being the studious, smart type, she's looking at it and looking at him and kind of shaking her head like, no, that's not how this writing thing works. I'm not exactly sure what all he wrote, but obviously he gets frustrated and crumples it up and throws it. But yeah, it's obviously not exactly up to par, but he won't exactly let her try to fix it. So inside the school, Will's at his locker, and he pulls out like a newspaper clip, an article about him, and someone has doodled over his face, and it makes him look all like his eyes all blacked out, and it has written under it Zombie Boy. And basically, I guess they're calling him this name, and it doesn't really tell you how long this has gone on, but you can kind of guess just by how everyone treats him that this is typical, unfortunately. So, he obviously isn't the same, but at the same time, as we learn later, he's frustrated at this treatment. So, but yeah, they meet we see some new students that come in, and we see this new guy and a new girl in town as they come in their car to rock you like a hurricane. And they get out, and so we learn, because the girl actually joins Will and their class, and we learn her name is Maxine, but she goes by Max. Who else? I mean, it's pretty obvious who MADMAX is at this point. It's this girl. And here comes that stigma of girls don't play video games. This is absurd. Why would girls play video games? But obviously, they're curious, and they have this theory that it could be her, but surely not. But then it goes to Will's mom, Joyce. She's in her store sewing a Ghostbusters costume. Yay! We know we'll get to see those soon. And here we go. Sean Astin. Gotta love him. Love Lord of the Rings. Love all the amazing movies he's been in. Rudy. I mean, I love him as an actor. And here he is as Bob, who apparently she knew in high school, and they're together and dating, and he's coming over for movie night, and the boys apparently already know about it. So there obviously has been a little bit of time that's passed since the end of season 1 rather. And but yeah, so I wondered who he was. He seemed close to the family, and now we know why. He is with Joyce, so good for her. Yay. And the more interesting music, it goes to Spooky Movies by Gary Paxton, and as Hopper goes to the Obliterated Pumpkin Patch, which is basically a pick your own pumpkin field. And every single one is like black and demolished. Like, it looks like it's been burnt and completely messed up. So we don't know who or what has done this, but something has messed it up. So of course, Hopper hears something weird in the cornfield right next to it. So he goes and investigates, and you get this sense of something foreboding, and it ends up being a raven or a crow that is literally sitting on the shoulder of a scarecrow as it flies to it. So, he's kind of mad at himself for getting so creeped out by something like that. And it, of course, goes back to the school, and we see that Nancy and Jonathan seem to still be friends after everything that happened in season 1, after fighting through so much craziness together, and working against the Demogorgon, to get rid of it and trap it and wound it and everything that they went through. I mean, obviously they're still friends, and she teases him about listening to Talking Heads and reading Vonnegut, which I think is interesting because it just shows you that she's learned more about him as a person and knows what he's into. So it does give you that kind of thought, yet again, that she's interested. She doesn't want to admit it, but, come on. Let's be honest. It's kind of obvious. So, but she's still with Steve, and obviously they're very hot and heavy, so we'll see what happens with that, I'm sure. But yeah, again, it goes back to that girls don't play video games, but they are still spying on Max. As she, walks around and is doing her thing, and at the school, and she's skateboarding, which apparently, of course, is very cool. And when she's done, she crumples up a piece of paper and dumps it in the trash can. So of course they go and look at it, and it's and it's addressed to them. It's like, stop staring at me, you creeps. And so I mean, obviously she's smart. She doesn't, and they don't exactly like stalk very well, or creep as it is on her. So she definitely does not like it very much. Let's see, Will is called out of class, and you get this sense of almost like he's just tired of going through this and dreads this very much so. And as he's walking out of the school with his backpack, he's leaving school early, and all these kids are staring at him with like this face of, I don't even know, like, just like they think he's weird. They just don't want to have anything to do with him, you get the sense of, and just almost like he has lepers or something, like, they don't want anywhere near him. You just get that sense. And he looks very dejected and very upset, and like he doesn't want to go through this. And he's, going, basically you learn he's going in to get checked out. And he's getting a checkup. He talks to what seems like a therapist or some sort of a doctor about the episode that he had where he saw the monster, or not saw the monster, but the storm. I guess he hasn't seen any monster yet. And he asked him how he reacted, and he said he was frozen, where you can't breathe, you can't speak, you can't barely think. You're just so frozen in terror. All you can do is just gawk. But he said that he sensed a presence of evil, and it just seemed like it wanted to kill not him but everyone else. And they talk about PTSD and how this is normal, but yet we see after this visit, it comes back to this facility, and it shows the doctor going down this elevator, and these people are still investigating the Upside Down. The entrance is still there. It is still very active, and they obviously know that other realm is still very present. So, I mean, it's not just a figment of his imagination anymore. I mean, it's still very, very real. It hasn't just disappeared off the face of the earth, or, anywhere. So, anyways, they go back to Mike and his family, and he's being basically told, you have to get 2 boxes of toys to sell or give up, basically. And he's not happy about it at all, because, and they kind of equate it to him taking Nancy's quarters out of her piggy bank and her money, and it seems like he's kind of gotten out of hand. I mean, from what it sounds like he's been acting up ever since everything happened with Will, and just doing graffiti and messing up the neighbor's stuff, and basically, it's like, okay, is this acting out because of what happened? Of course, the parents are not really sure why he's doing this. It appears they've tried to be patient, but they basically tell him, you've got to turn in these 2 boxes of toys, period. And then, oh man, you guys, my heart, because Nancy and Steve had talked earlier about having dinner with the family, and I thought they meant her family, that Steve was going to come over and they were all going to have a family meal. They weren't talking about Nancy's family, and you guys, they were talking about Barb's family. They go over to Barb's family's house. There's a for sale sign in the yard, and they go in and they're eating KFC. And of course, Barb's mom is apologizing because, the time got so late and they didn't have time to make anything, so they got KFC. And it's so rough because there's pictures of Barb everywhere on the mantle, just crowding the mantle. Everywhere you turn, there's pictures of Barb. Even as Nancy goes in the bathroom, there's a picture of Barb. And basically, Barb's parents explained to her that the reason that the for sale sign's in the yard is because they've got a detective that's apparently the best of the best, that he's going to find Barb. And they're finally going to get some answers because, Hopper's a crackpot and not worth his weight. And now they have someone who is. And of course, it sickens Nancy and upsets her to not be able to explain to them and tell them what's happened, because she knows, obviously, the truth about what happened to Barb, and she can't tell them. And it's I can't even imagine what that's like, to know that your best friend who always looked out for you is gone, and there's nothing that you can do or her parents can do, but her parents will, and yet in your heart that her parents will always continue to look for her, to the point that they're moving because of this detective. So who knows what's going to happen, or they're going to sell their house for sure. So it's rough. And then we go back to Mike, and he's on his radio trying to radio 11. And it almost seems like it's a ritual, like he does this often. After dinner or what have you, he'll go down to the little tent and try to radio her. And as he walks away, he thinks he hears her, but it's a distorted voice, and kind of found out it's Dustin. And he's being radioed about what they found out about who Max is, that they did confirm that it is MADMAX, and he's of course frustrated. So it kind of leads you to believe that maybe because he's acting out is because, part of it is obviously he misses 11, and he can't let go of her or her memory or what happened, and it's still very prevalent in his mind. So this scene with Dustin, like he's at his home and something's like rattling in his trash can, and he thinks it's the cat Muse, which is MEWS. Interesting name, or I'm thinking that's how it's spelled. That's how the closed caption spelled it. But anyway, he thinks it's the cat, but shrugs it off and walks inside. But you get the sense that it's something far more menacing. Goodness knows what it is. I have no earthly idea, but not good, definitely. And then, of course, Will finally, tells us what he thinks. He's frustrated. He's tired of people treating him like an invalid, treating him like something's wrong with him, like he's gonna be possessed at any moment, or he's gonna start twisting his head like the Exorcist, or goodness knows, just how people look at him. He talks about Joyce and his own brother Jonathan, and the doctors and everybody, including his best friends, his classmates, just looking at him like he's fragile, he's not mentally stable, and just treating him completely different, and he's just fed up with it. And Jonathan talks to him and tries to, calm him down and let him know, look, I'm here for you, I'm your big bro. He asks him to choose between David Bowie and Kenny Rogers, and of course they choose David Bowie, yet Bob chooses Kenny Rogers, of course, which I thought was kind of funny. And they all go downstairs and they watch Mr. Mom together, and you can tell that him and Jonathan are not really into it that much. But it flashes back to the facility, the place where Will got checked out, and this alarm's going off. The guard doesn't hear it because he's got earbuds in, and it just sounds, and all the lights on the control panel flash and go crazy. And unfortunately, there's a storm in the Upside Down. Will sees it too. He's in the bathroom brushing his teeth, and he sees it like through the door, and it is storming just like it was at the arcade. And through the smoke, he finally sees it, the Thessal Hydra. And oh my gosh, it's just, I can't explain it in words. It's we knew it was coming, but finally it shows itself, and it's huge, it's massive, it's thrashing around, and Will yet again, of course, is frozen in fear because he's dealt with the Demogorgon, and this thing is just massive and angry and evil. And so we'll see what happens with the Thessal Hydra in the future, I'm sure. And then the big reveal. Oh my god, you guys. Holy shit. So Hopper, goes back to his place. He has like a tripwire set up in the woods around his house. And we find out that he is housing 11. She is staying in his house, eating with him. She has hair. It's so curly and full and just there. And of course, she's already eaten Eggos. And he's like, we've talked about this. We have to eat dinner first before we eat dessert. And he's teaching her like the difference between, like, for example, she says it's 8:15 and he's like, no, it's 8:15, and so she's still learning different words and different meanings and that type of thing. But the fact that we know he was feeding her at the end of season 1, he put the Eggos and the stuff from like the I guess it was Christmas. Yeah, so almost a year has gone by. There you go. Okay, so that's how much time has passed. Because obviously now they're in October, and when we last saw them, it was like towards Christmas time, because he brought her leftovers from the Christmas like potluck they had at his work. So I guess it's almost been a year since the last incident happened, and or since she disappeared. And so goodness knows what has happened since then. But yeah, obviously she has hair, and Hopper at some point has brought her in and has been housing her in his place. So they have that dinner, and that's basically how it ends, is with that. So for a start for a series, I'm so excited. MADMAX was epic. I'm so excited to see more with my Demogorgon friend here, Rar, with his compatriots over here. But yeah, I'm definitely going to continue to review Stranger Things too as I watch more. I'm also reviewing Star Trek Discovery and the Orville, as well as Walking Dead. I'm going to be reviewing Game of Thrones when it comes back on, and Doctor Who, so many other things. I do unboxings with Loot Crate and Loot Anime, and Scotchbot's Japanese Snacks, and Owl Crate, and I've got Anime Bento coming, so check out that. We have also got a Destiny 2 giveaway, so if you want a copy of Destiny 2, or you have someone you want to gift to get the game too, definitely go ahead and subscribe. We've got the video just description of how to win it that we've already filmed that's out there. So if you want to know how to win a copy, go check out that video. It gives you all the instructions. We also are going to be doing more giveaways, so definitely go ahead and subscribe so you can get the information on those first. I'm going to be doing some comic reviews. We've got live gaming coming up, game streams, and lots of cool behind the scenes stuff. Just lots of awesome content coming for you guys, so definitely subscribe so you can check that out. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdettes. But yeah, that's it for MADMAX. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and we hope to see you back. Bye guys.